And welcome back to another episode of Pillars of Eternity. So you will notice that Kana is back in the party, which he was not previously. What's this? Bronze winter wind. Wow. This is what I needed. Anyway, the reason Kana is in the party is because I've been trying to do this, the Burning Hells in the expansion, the White Marsh, and I needed Kana because I didn't have the shield on a deer that I just purchased. That shield is actually required to complete this, then a deer can do it, but I didn't have that shield obviously until now. But Kana can do it. All you need on Kana is... I am gonna tell you now. Why can I never remember? There we go. Rhyme and Frost followed the footfalls of Karth. So you need this with Kana to actually be able to do this. With that, you need you need 13 might, 5 survival, 5 athletics. That's what you need, and a pry bar. I struggled so much to do this. I struggled a long time to do this, and eventually I just did some research on how to do it because I really want to save both. A lot of people say they just leave the people to die and then they take the this guy's screaming. And then they take the ring and leave, but I want to save both. That's what I want to do. So, with that said, I think we can continue with Pillars of Eternity, the White Marsh. Just give me a second, quickly. Anyway, okay.
Following your lead.
Let's go.
Hey there.
Okay. The roof of the hut is almost entirely enveloped in flames. Lighting the snow in this dark orange hue. Several beams have been reduced to ember-dotted husks. Through the hut's threshold, you can see only billowing smoke. The fire roars as it climbs the timbers. The air feels thick and hot, and the building is a maze of flame. Withstanding the smoke and navigating the fire will be challenging. Scent Kana. Okay. Kana leaps over the burning threshold, plunging out of sight behind a wall of smoke. Inside the house, fire has split the walls and beams, and a thick haze rolls through the building. It is hard to see even a few feet ahead, save for the occasional glimpse of fire glowing embers. Survival. Crouch to avoid the smoke. Okay. Kana moves onwards through a haze of heat and soon. The hut groans and shifts as the blaze grows. Above, a beam begins to sag, threatening to crash down into the corridor. From just ahead comes the faint sound of a voice calling for help. That's the perception. Okay, number 3. Prop up the beam with another log. Looking around quickly, Kana notices a piece of fallen timber that seems just tall enough to work. Kana heaves it up and sets it against the sagging beam. The makeshift props holds for the moment, allowing safe passage. That's where the 13 might comes in. Despite the smoke and flames, Kana remains unharmed and unhindered for the moment. Pressing forward, Kana comes at last to a wider room. To the left is a man, the source of the faint cries of help. He stands trapped behind a curtain of flame, arms raised to ward off the heat. It may be impossible to reach him without quenching the fires first. To the right, a woman lies unconscious beneath what happened to appears to have once have been the roof. She's small, but the rubble trapping her looks heavy. Smoke winds its way up and down into the open air, obscuring all sight of the outside. Okay, so here You must help the man first because the man can walk out on his own. The woman cannot. To the right. Okay, so we want to go to the left. Okay. Help, please help me here. A man dressed in a haphazard armor of local guard stands strapped at one side of the house. Fire has worked its way across the floorboards, blocking all escapes. Ryman and Frost followed the footholds path and used the chant of Ryman Frost. Okay. Though the smoke makes all speech an exercise in endurance, Kana is able to keep chanting long enough to pass through the flames. The frost magic smothers the fires and provides a merciful break in the stifling heat. God bless you. I thought that was the end. Come on, we should get clear of this place. He runs past Kana, making a dash for the exit. Turn away to help the woman. Kana approaches the other victim. The smoke has gotten thick. Kana begins coughing but is able to press on. This woman is trapped beneath a considerable amount of rubble, including a heavy crossbeam. A purpling bruise on her temple suggests that she was struck as the debris fell. Okay. This is where you need the pry bar. Use a pry bar to clear the rubble. Kana sets the pry bar against a section of the crossbeam and using every ounce of strength strains to lift it clear. After a period of fruitless struggle, the beam finally begins to rise by slow degrees. With one great and final effort, Kana heaves the last of the rubble clear of the woman. Though still unconscious, the woman is free of the rubble and can now be moved. Carry the woman out. The woman is of a slight frame and carrying her proves easier than freeing her from the rubble. Kana hoists her carefully onto his shoulder. Retreat to the exit. Beset by smoke-clogged air and burning debris, Kana finds the ordeal taking its toll. Still, Kana presses on, determined. Keeping a firm hold upon the unconscious woman, Kana turns for the exit. Kana races past the unsteady beam for a second time. The timbers crash down a scant few seconds after Kana passes through. The smoke clouds Kana's vision and makes it difficult to breathe, but Kana staggers forward. Constitution 18. 12. At last Kana comes to the door, rushing out of the blaze and into the mountain air.
You did it! You saved them both!
Ta-da! I was sure the thing was coming down and taking your friend with it. The man wipes his brow and stares up at the collapsing house. Ondra's tides. It's a good thing you got Katie and Lurgolder out. His eyes widen. He turns to you. You look like you could use a drink. Take this over to Aferix and have one on me. He flips a couple of flat carved bones. Yeah, boy.
Hey there.
Done. That is done. What's wrong with my phone? Okay, now to explore the village once again. We do have it too. Let's go.
Effigy's eyes! It looks at me! Ah!
What looked at? Is it something I said? I need to swap. No. Let's do that. And that. And I'll do that. Yes. You know what? Safe places like this, let's do it like that thing. That's you. Oh, you. Doesn't really matter. Okay. Does a dozen pairs of globular eyes stare up piteously from the discarded heads of the day's catch, awash in a pungent sea of fins and innards. Oh, that sounds tasty. Sift through the fish scraps. Your hand runs against something round and fleshy, the size of a melon. It is smooth and scaleless, and part seems to be covered in hair. A discarded head, perhaps, but not that of a fish. Okay. The head shifts deeper into the barrel's slimy recesses. Pull the head out. With one hand on either side of the head, you begin to lift it out of the barrel, only to have it leap from the grasp as the head's owner springs over the lip of the barrel in an eruption of fish chunks that rain down over the market stall. The man who leapt from the barrel stands facing you, nearly naked save for a loincloth and drizzled in fish viscera. He is covered head to toe in scars, tears and punctures, and a thorny imprint of lashings. Most are faded like old memories. So I'm gonna have a fishy companion. Well done. Despite that, the condition of the man's body is remarkable, and drooping skin at his flanks and elbows, the only evidence of his advanced age. His face is placid, but the rest of him appears prepared for anything.
You must forgive, Zawa. I was not expecting you.
He looks you in the eye at first, but his gaze drifts now and then, settling on strange parts of your face as though distracted by new discoveries. If he is at all flustered, he gives no indication. What are you doing in the barrel? So I scratches behind his ear, dismayed.
Resting my eyes, I thought. Waiting for the Malkachoa to bring me insight.
He shakes his head.
It would seem I dozed. A good thing my master was not alive to see it.
Zawa blinks, leaning in to get a better look at you. His enlarged pupils seem to crowd out his pale irises.
Are you real? Of course. I meant no offense. But I find it is best to ask when Malkachoa is involved.
Malkachoa?
A small white mushroom. I have heard it called snowcap in these lands. It can reveal the true nature of many things.
You have a master, you said. The man traces your evident glance at these scars. He smells
A teacher, not an owner. Zawa is a free man. Well, as free as any of us.
I still don't understand why you were in the barrel.
I was freeing myself from vanity.
Did he say sanity or vanity?
Consider, how can one be vain who is bathed in the smell of dead fish?
There's a proud glint in his eyes.
I had the idea when I passed this way earlier. I am pleased with the results so far.
He smiles at the woman whose head is swiveled towards him as she passes by, a look of revulsion on her face. Distracted, her toe catches on a stone and she nearly falls to her face. He claps his hands together.
Yes, quite pleased.
The scars are for battle? The glances down at his body.
From battle, yes. I left them upon my enemies.
He points at various patches of crisscrossing scars.
These were struck against fear. These against pleasure. These against hatred. Those down there against greed and doubt. And these...
He points to his face.
These were for vanity.
You made those scars?
I cannot take credit for all of them, but I did most of the good ones. I put them there in battle to remind myself what is real and what is not. Our worst enemies are inventions of the mind, pleasure, fear. When we see them for what they are, we become unstoppable.
And you have achieved this?
I feel I have been close, but never for more than an instant. In the moment when the pain is sharpest, the world becomes clear. In that moment, I am a match for anyone.
He gives a slow, assured nod. Your wounds must have caused you to suffer greatly.
Of course. I am fortunate to have suffered so much. If I did not suffer, I would not aspire to free myself from it. I would wander from one unfulfilling goal to the next. More wealth, a better station. My soul would wither. But to search for a place beyond suffering's reach is to nurture the soul, to harden it against the elements.
He clenches his fists in illustration.
Suffering is the greatest gift the gods have given us, their most beautiful, perfect creation. It is the hand that turns the wheel.
His eyes gleam as though looking upon an old and beloved friend. Do you often smear yourself with fish?
Gods, no. What a way to travel the world. The usual way is to smear yourself with the ashes of the dead. But they do not burn their dead here, so I have to make do with what the land provides.
There's nothing there.
The cold seems to conquer the smell. Even now, the scent hides itself. Disappointing.
You don't seem like you're from around here.
I was visiting a monastery not far from here. I found it empty, but I met a messenger as I left. He carried a call for aid. Seeing that he would find no monks at the monastery, I chose to go in their place. Zawa is no longer young, but in combat he is still the greatest of the Takan people. It seemed only right that he should go.
Stalwart hired me as well.
I would not say I am hired. I seek no wage, and I promise no result. I have chosen a path, and my spoils come from walking it.
An uneasy frown settles on his face almost
And this fortress, this Durgan's battery, its people are gone. Zawa would know why.
If you seek the White Forge as well, I could use the help of an experienced warrior. Zawa's face fits upward, his eyes fixing on the sky. He remains motionless, entranced. At length, he blinks as if awakening and looks back at you. He shrugs clearly.
If one wishes to swim, it is no time to argue with the current. We are here together in this moment because a perfect force has willed it. Who is Zawa to argue?
He looks you squarely in the eyes, and for once they do not drift.
I will walk with you so long as the gods wish it so.
Let's be on our way. Bye, Kana.
Safe travels.
It's a monkey. So, would assume athletics. I've got someone with lore. Lesser wound. Lowers the monk's wound threshold, allowing him or her to gain wounds at a faster rate. The monk immediately inflicts enough raw damage on himself or herself to gain a wound. Grants mortification to the soul. Swift strikes. The monk's hands become a frenzied blur of attacks, increasing their attack rate for a brief period. Requires one wound. Turning will. The monk is able to channel physical pain into pure energy and redirect it at his or her attackers. While the monk has wounds, he or she adds a proportional fire bonus to melee damage. Oh shit. Monk's tried. Intense practice and years of study enable the monk to move faster. Okay, it's just movement speed. Powerful attack that knocks the target back a significant distance. If the attack is successful, target bumps others out of the way and bounces hard off surfaces like walls and ending burn. I think I like this one as a passive as well. Adds burning damage. Mortification soul is the one. The monk immediately inflicts enough raw damage on himself or herself to gain a wound. Okay. And I know that I saw a hit targeting strike designed to disrupt enemies' ability to react. Enemies hit by a successful attack are stunned, 2 per encounter. clarity of agony. Through pain, the monk is able to cleanse his or her body, reducing the duration of incoming and existing hostile effects by half. Foresight, a powerful attack that knocks the target back a significant distance. Okay, that one, Soul Mirror. To reflect ranged attacks. I think I wanted this flurry of blows in D&D. Lightning strike. Imagine the monk's swift strike causing anyone hit by the attack to take additional shock damage. Modify swift strikes. So it's like, what? Shit. I think monks can be powerful, but monks are always powerful in games. It's just one of those things. Early game they're not that good, but late game they really pack a punch. Okay, Crucible of Suffering. The monk gains temporary insight through endurance, gaining a temporary bonus to fortitude's reflex on the wall whenever hostile effects expires. We saw that one. The monk gains 2 modal abilities that allow him to or her to switch between bonus to deflection and a bonus to all defenses. Wow. Rooting Pain generates a shockwave around the monk each time he or she gains a wound, inflicting a small amount of damage and possible calling an interrupt on all enemies around the area of effect. And it's passive. Speed average area of effect. Wow. The Long Pain. The monk becomes capable of projecting force from his or her fist, including damage at long range. Requires 2 wounds. Speed average effect. Summon weapon Long Pain fist. I wanna take this one. It's passive. It does damage while being passive. I like passives. What? Savage attack. What do you do now with them? It's nothing. Gun Savage Metal Instant uses 20% play damage but -5 melee accuracy. Just more damage for him. And then I wanted that one. What's Everlasting Blow? The weak target weakened for. So this just gives him a long range fist. This allows him to actually, stun people. Okay. Seeing that he's got a saber there. Oh, another hatchet. Okay. We'll find you one. Armor, I don't think he's allowed to wear armor. Oh, light. Yes, there we go. There's light armor for you. Endurance bonus, perception. Whoa. There's endurance. I'll swap endurance. Transferred from caster. What? First swap endurance rings. How stupid. Okay. Yeah.
Hey there.
Then in this one, yes, and in this one, there's something like that. I want to check this monk out.
We should check the barrels for more crazy monks.
Lol. Fishery work, villager. Just a few minutes more and the fisher would have burned too.
I shall be discreet.
No, nothing. Who are you? Okay. A dwarf paces with his head down and arms crossed, only stopping to glance at the building behind him. His face is smeared in dark with grime and soot falls from his beard as he mumbles to himself. Work my hands into bloody stumps in this place, and for what? He kicks at a mound of dirty snow. Starts with nothing, leaves with less. He extends his arms out. Who are you yelling at? At idiots, that's who, and I'm as much to blame for believing them. The dwarf wrinkles in his nose, nostrils flaring like a horse. Well, a good riddance. Should have known, never settled here in the first place. Some things you mean to leave behind. Come to find out, you packed them in anyway. I'm not leaving until I recover what's mine. They can't deny me again, not for this. Awkward gestures at the burnt out building. Those sweat-tongued priests took my heirloom. Bury the memory of the past, they said. Now I don't have any. Now I don't even have that. What please? Only once here they occupied the temple some time ago, picking at desperate folk like vultures. Those priests, Andra's dogs, said the goddess would forgive. That some things are best left to be forgotten. He nods towards the nearby temple. Their leader laughed. I believed her words. Another one of them, a gift bearer, took my medallion. He closes his stocky hand into a fist. And now they won't tell me where it is. Your problem is that you give meaning to meaningless objects. Here, let me show you something. I need one of your rings. Okran draws back his hand, but Zawa gives him a trustworthy nod. After a moment hesitation, Okran relents, dropping a jewel band into Zawa's outstretched palm. Immediately Zawa flings it into the lake. See, you are no worse off. Okra's face already splotched with pink from gold turns to a deep shade of crimson, and his mouth puckers as though his head were set to implode. After a tense moment, his breathing slows and his fists unclench. His original look painted frustrated and returning. Why won't they tell you? Because they think they know better, that's why I said it was the only way I'd forget. What did you want to forget about your past? That was a different life, better days, until Okran closes his eyes and shakes his head. Motes of soot fall onto his hunched shoulders. It's my burden to bear, not yours. I thought to cast it away, but the memories I'd lost were all the wrong ones. What else did you give the priests? The dwarf casts a measuring look at you. He quickly turns his head away and nods. You don't understand its value. My armor, it's a set finer than I've ever had, but worthless to an old dwarf. I'd have traded it for the medallion, but fool that I was, I gave them both. Maybe there's something I can do. Not the kind of talk that I've grown used to these last few years, I admit. The priest may pretend otherwise, but folks here tend to look only after themselves. I'd be surprised if they returned it willingly. They believe it's a sacred duty to cast the offerings to the gods in some place where they will be forgotten. Better to find where they dropped them, I think. What's Loftus' role in this? She leads that group of crows. They took over the temple as folks started to leave. Came to unburden those that sought to forget their misery here, they say. Tell me about the medallion you want recovered. It belonged to my sister. It was just a pretty trinket to her. To me, the dwarf cast his gaze down. She was the last of my family, at least that still acted like family to me. I don't expect luck to graze me now, but if you find anything, I'll be here. Count on it. He gives you a vigorous nod.
Oh, it's working! Yes! I can't believe it! It's really... Oh...
The woman looks at you, a disappointing expression on her face. In her hands is a large rectangular box covered in strange dials of symbols. What's working?
My ore locating divination tool. Well, that's what it will be. I have to calibrate it. Right now it seems to think you're a copper deposit. My animancer contacts did suggest that a particular strong soul essence might interfere. I'm more interested in minerals in any case.
Maybe I do have a strong.
I suppose that's possible. It's not exactly what I'm looking for, unfortunately.
What are you looking for?
I'm trying to recreate the instruments that first led the Pargrin dwarves to this mountain. This is my latest prototype. Centuries ago, dwarves carrying tools just like this one followed their readings to what is now the battery. If I can recreate their work, then I may be able to find ore deposits elsewhere. I was hoping to test it, but my arrival was delayed by word of the ogre attack. I haven't been able to find anyone to venture up the mountain since.
I could do it. I could go up to the mountain for you.
Really? That'd be wonderful. I just have to adjust the device, you see.
Hands persistently over the box, adjusting knobs and
It
dials.
should point you toward metal deposits. We already know the battery rests on some rich veins, but I was hoping to get a reading of the surrounding mountainside. If you can follow the readings to ore and bring back a sample, I can use it to refine the device. Thanks ever so much for this.
Okay. Temple of Ondra. I get the feeling this is where I smack people. Veins goes under the woman's pale skin like icy fishes, yet when she speaks, her voice flows warm and soothing. Andros welcomes you into her embrace. Her features soften into a look of practiced compassion. We're here to ease the pain of your past, ready to take your burdens. With a thin smile, she nods. If you let the goddess help you with your hardships, of course. Tell me about Ondra. Ondra's the goddess of redemption, deep like an ocean and gentle as a mother. She's here to relieve her children of their darkest burden. We came here to aid the villagers, to heal the wounds of the past that fester in their souls. I thought Ondra was the goddess of loss and mourning, not redemption. The priestess crosses her arms and shifts her weight. Come on, notion. Others may believe so, but the goddess mysteries are profound. Her true power lies in redeeming your loss and regret. Was there something else you wanted to talk about? I want to know about the gift bearers. Gift bearers do Ondra's most valued work. They carry the material burdens of unfortunate souls into their embrace, so that the goddess may help them forget. I want to ask about Okrun's heirloom. The dwarves already asked. We gave him the counsel he needed. Slight irritation sharpens her tone. She seems to catch herself modulating her voice back to a pleasant timbre. And naturally we'll do what we can for you too. Ask what you will. Ankra wants his medallion back. She brings her hands together and nods. Oh, Okran, how often we let the shadows of the past become a burden even to others. That medallion, it weighs on Okran's mind. You're kind to Hal, but what he really needs is to cast away those memories. Isn't that for him to decide? He did. He understood the solace that the goddess can give to those like him. It was explained to him that many have second thoughts, but one does not withdraw something offered to the goddess. In time, the memories fade, and they come to see wisdom of their original pledge. His belongings, his past, now rest in Ondra's realm, to be forgotten, so that the wounds of the soul may heal. This is the will of the goddess. Let's suppose Okran has moved on. Tell me where the heirloom is. I wonder what the village leader would say about this. You think we don't act in accordance with the local customs? The village knows we're here to help the unfortunate like Okran. They trust us. Let's suppose Okran has moved on. Tell me where the East heirloom is. He hasn't, and that's the point, laughed Okran. Besides, you have no authority here. I can keep asking for a long time. Flash of color invades her priest's pale skin. I see, very well. I see there is no dissuading you, and you seem, she glances over, a person of will. Very well. Laughter's irritation seems to subside as fast as it rose, but you notice a lingering sense of alarm in the glances that the acolytes exchange after her outburst. Okran's heirloom was taken by Exley, chosen gift bearer among us, to be cast away as an offering to Ondra. Only he knows where. She pauses and looks at you intently. You could ask him yourself, but he's on a trek through the mountains of Durgan's battery. If you run to Exley, tell him he has urgent duties to attend to here. Tell me about your gift bearer. Exley had business near Durgan's battery. Those mountains are dangerous. Glavza seems to stare at the floor for a moment, but you notice her eyes dart to one of the acolytes, a young man of exmetal blood. If you insist upon carrying out this request of Okran, then that's where I'd search for answers. It's hard to believe that only the gift bearer knows where Ondra's offerings are cast away. Is it our goddess frees us from the earthly burdens? It's best if only one of us knows where they are taken. Lest we will end up suffering under their weight. Let me ask you about something else. Okay, I don't want anything from you. It's a shield. Shieldman.
Aye?
Bit more lore. Okay, those options are gone.
Mm-hmm.
A young man dressed in a sturdy leather suit glares at you. The creases in his face stand despite the scarce sunlight of the region, suffering a slight twitch as you approach him. I've got nothing for you. Speak with laughter if you must. He turns away his nose. Oh, screw you. Okay. As you step outside, the heavy wooden door of the temple slams shut behind you. You hear someone barring it from the side. It sounds like the priests have engaged in an agitated conversation. You get the sense that they are discussing you, but you're also certain that the door is too thick to eavesdrop through, although there may be other places nearby where you'd stand a better chance.
Sure.
How could you what?
Zawa is ready.
I'm ready. Good.
What?
How may I help? Hey.
Hey there.
The wooden shutters of the temple window closed tight, muffled to set voices coming from within the building. You can't quite make sense of the murmur, but cracking a shutter open would likely help. A rusty iron latch holds the window. Okay. A rusty iron latch holds the window shutters closed. With care, you should be able to unfasten it without being noticed. You carefully begin to lift the latch from its metal hook. Halfway there, the rusted iron resists the screech. You freeze, listening to the voices in the hope the priest didn't hear. The conversation continues uninterrupted. Listen with you. Okay, pause and on the latch. Okay. You grab the latch and apply just the right amount of oil, nudging the metal until its rust gives way without a sound. Carefully, you pull the window shutters open enough to let the voices flow through. You hear a man speaking, his tone agitated. You do that. Hope the mountains will do it. What if X? His sentence cuts as the man was speaking to all sides of the room. Pose, he tells them instead. What then? You recognize Lotto's voice responding. Why would he? And with all those dangers near the battery, our gift bearer won't delay. I expect that, the man interrupts her. You always expect. Look where that's taken us. A dying village, ogres at the walls, Exital's not back yet, and now I had to do this. Do his pa. His voice drops and ceases, muffling what he has to say. After a moment, Laughter replies, do you think I wanted this? That I could have known in advance? A pause ensures its tension growing until the priest's voice cuts it in half. We can't wait for him. We must fish out the last batch quickly. After that, we'll decide. The man responds in a broken voice, barely audible. You only distinguish the last words. In that russet wood pond, I'll go. Their exchange seems to end cautiously. Cautiously, you step away from the window of Andra's temple.
Hey there.
So what you have to say? Exceptional hunting bow. Grants mirrored image when hit by a critical hit. Second level with well. Plus 25 defense against charmed, confused attacks. Plus 10 against dominated attacks. I shall take that for the monk. To my 2 intellect and resolve. Wow, look at the price of that thing. I'll come back for it. 2 enemies needed to flank. Plus 2 perception. 9 deflection. 5 accuracy when below 50% endurance. Plus 30 defense. Okay. Accuracy. Because this will actually
Hey there.
make the monk stronger. Whenever he gets critted, he will cast mirror image. Okay. Quick save.
It must be.
The dwarf is busy stirring into the fire, slowly puffing away on his pipe. As you greet him, he visibly startles and his pipe clatters to the floor.
Sorry. Didn't hear you come in. My ears aren't what they used to be.
He stoops, wincing to retrieve his pipe. When he rises again, he has a hand against his side.
I'm Thiersch. I've lived here long enough that Kith have started calling me the Old Hunter. And that's about all I can say for myself.
Are you hurt?
Wasn't the ogres, I can tell you that. Put a few arrows in one of those and they generally have the good sense to back off. But I've been hunting this wolf for near a year now. A man-eater. Cunning, nasty thing. Every time I get close, it just slips away. The beast has already claimed many lives. The first victim was my son, Saldrin.
Fisk looks down at his pipe for a moment, features hardening. Zoa leans uneasily. Go on. Zasik furrows his brow a moment, but continues.
Got the better of me this last time. Distracted me long enough for one of its kin to turn up. Nearly bit me clean in half. I'm a few weeks out from trying again.
You said the thing was a
No
wolf.
ordinary wolf. A monster. This creature is big. And I see the signs it leaves behind. The mess it made to the last couple of hunters and the elk. Doesn't always finish its meals. Damn thing might be sick. Might have a bullet in its jaw. Something. In any case, it needs to be put down.
Where is this beast?
It roams the russet wood out to the west. Seems to have decided the lake is a good place to find prey. Yeah. It's picked off some scattered ogres from time to time. But mostly it's been going after hunters, travelers.
Can you tell me about your previous encounters?
Nothing to tell. Near misses, all of them. One time he clambered right up the cliffs to avoid my snares. Another time, he chased a bear into my camp.
Nothing to sell near misses.
I nearly had him once. I could hear him below, eating, and I had the gun aimed right for him. Until the wind changed. He charged headlong into the tree to get at me. Nearly knocked me off my perch. And when I righted myself, he was gone.
I'll keep an eye out for it. I'm a hunter myself. I can track this wolf for you.
It needs doing. But I warn you, this beast is not to be trifled with. It must make its lair somewhere to the west. If you mean to go there, keep your wits about you.
It needs doing, but I warn you.
Watch yourself on the mountain. In these lean times, everything looks like prey to something.
I have some other questions.
Coming to your elders for advice, is it? What can I do for you?
What can you tell me about Stalwart?
Well, I can tell you it won't be here much longer if things go on as they are. With the mines closed, we've lost what put us on the map in the first place. We're losing people every month. Too many mouths to feed and not enough to support them. Even the game's dwindling. I've been lucky. I've hides and horns enough to keep the traders happy, but now the ogres are picking the rest of us off.
What can you tell me about the ogres? Only that they've been coming down in force again and again, trying to drive us out or kill us outright.
The moment we started looking into Durgan's battery, it was like we'd kicked a hornet's nest. You made a good showing against that last group, by the way. I think you've given them reason to think twice about coming back.
Why is the hunting so poor?
It's been a colder season than usual, and the elk herds aren't faring well. We're stuck fighting with the ogre clans and the wolves over what's left. Not to mention the occasional beast. We've lost a lot of young hunters.
Has the legacy struck Stalwart as well?
It has. We had some hope in the early days that we'd be spared, isolated as we are. That hope died in a hurry. Not everyone's been so unlucky, of course. You'll see a few pampered sprats around.
Treating them like precious stones won't see them grow up any faster, if at all. The sudden sorrow in his features bellies his soft laughter. He must have some interesting hunting stories.
Long hours checking snares and waiting out elk, mostly. Used to hunt some of the big ones. Bear, stelgare. But up here, it comes down to necessity. Which means keeping Stalwart fed, or else keeping it safe. Thing is, the last hunt didn't go so well, as you can see.
That's all the questions I had. Very well, kind sir.
Alof. Never before have I met an Adiran man so hesitant to speak his mind.
I'm not hesitant. I just, like to consider my words carefully.
Don't see the harm. Building's thirsty work. Figured you'd be out of here in a flash after the fighting died down. Most people don't stick around after they figure out the ogres are making regular visits. I would have helped fight them monsters off, you know, if I didn't think I'd just get in the way. And with you there to handle things, everything turned out well enough, didn't it? Don't see why Havrick's still sour at me.
What's it about Havrick?
Oh, Havrick's the innkeeper over at the Grave's Rest. I may have been hiding in the inn when the fighting started. The raid didn't improve his disposition any. Did you know he has a whole case of Fenland liquor in there? I keep offering to buy it off him, but he says he's saving it up for when the batteries open again. As if we're gonna last that long. Anyhow, he said he'd thrash me up and down the mountain if I didn't leave him be.
It seems reasonable to want to save it for a special occasion.
It's delusional is what it is. Point of fact, what with you dealing with ogres and everything, maybe you'd, you know, be willing to help me out.
Oh, bravo, subtle indeed.
Havrick keeps all the good stock in the inn cellar. Out of sight, you see. I mean, it's bound to be under lock and key, but I'm sure he wouldn't miss a single bottle. Not with everything that's going on.
What does stealing wine for you have to do with fighting ogres?
Well, Havrick can be a little intimidating when it comes to his beverages. But otherwise, not much, I guess. Shh, all right, keep it down. I didn't mean anything by it. But if you happen to come across some, then maybe you could share?
Bereth's wheel of fire.
Bard.
Ooh, still can't feel my fingers. Thought I'd found shelter when I stumbled across this little village. Guessing you did too, huh?
Vera raises a frosty mug to you, even though the warmth of the hearth reaches you here. Her hands are wrapped in a weird wool and her ears muffled by the hat. Her face has the taut, wind-beating look of someone who recently come from the road.
As much blood as there was in the streets, I'm lucky the ale's still flowing.
She takes a drink, and as she tilts her head back, you see a bruise purple her jaw and the crimson blood of scraped knuckles. What exactly happened?
Thought all the whispers about Durgan's battery were just village superstition. And maybe they are. But I might have been on my guard if I'd listened. I was part of an expedition, hunting for relics from Durgan's battery. We picked up a good haul, too.
She takes a slow swallow of her beer.
So it figures that's when the winds pick up and the sky starts dumping snow. We lost sight of the road. Meanwhile, something else found us. Took Liam out before we even realized we were surrounded. And then we see him coming out of the snow. These little four-armed wilder. Lagufoth, they're called.
She shakes her head, staring at the embers of the fire.
Quick little bastards. Francesca and I held them off as long as we could, but when they filled her full of darts, I turned tail and ran. Found my way here and thanked my luck for escaping the Lagufoth. Then come to find out that this town's got an ogre problem.
What are you going to do
I
now?
need to get those artifacts. Not that I'm in any shape to go after them myself. But I can't afford to return to Defiance Bay without something to show for my expedition. But you've got your own expedition to the battery, don't you? While you're out there, maybe you could look for my goods. Whatever's left of them. I'll give you a cut for anything you bring back, of course. I ain't asking for charity.
Tell me what you're
I just
looking
can't afford to go home empty-handed. Like I said, we were treasure hunting near Durgan's battery when we were ambushed. What else do you want to know?
for. Why are these relics important
We
to
took
you?
out several loans to pay for our trip out here. I'm gonna have trouble if I don't pay them back.
Remind me where I can find your caravan.
What's left of it should be near Durgan's battery. If you stumble across the Lagufoth, you'll know you're close.
Perception, examine her teeth. As Farah talks, you notice that her teeth and gums are stained with dark spots. What do you know about Durgan's battery?
Just that it's been locked up tight for 200 years on account of those dwarves having a row. Which means that any trinkets from inside fetch a nice price. Sorry, I'm more of a businesswoman than a historian.
Yeah?
Let's see if I can...
You find anything? Like I said.
Yeah?
Hey there, good timing. You can watch me transfer with alcohol and a sharp object. This won't end well. Once Android, you won once. What are you playing? Orlan said. Android grins at it. That's what they call it anyhow. Orlan said. Smooth. You pick a target, see nose or ear. Nose is worth more, but you've got 2 ears to work with. You get less points the further you out from the target you get. So for the mouth and eyes, no points if you miss. Fancy a game? 3 throws each, and whoever gets the most points by the end of it wins the wager. I'll put down 50 pounds if you will. Sure, let's play. Okay. Andred pulls a throwing knife from his belt, turning it over in his hands. Wages 50 pounds, you in. Let's play. Good man. I'll go first just to show you how it's done. Andred aims carefully and throws his blade. The knife hits the eye. Score 5. Andred walks. Okay, aim for the nose. The knife hits the skin, scoring 1. Andred aims carefully and throws his blade. Scoring 2. Aim for the nose. The knife hits the nose, scoring 10. Andred aims carefully and throws his blade. Knife hits the ear, scoring 7. The knife hits the nose, scoring 10. That's 21 for you, 14 for me. Not bad, stranger. Looks like you win this one. Here's your prize. Guess I ought to get back to some practice. Scrub life. Ah, it's our ogre slaying friend. Hey, they crowned you the king of Stalwart yet. My friend doesn't mean to be an ass, so it comes natural. But I'd want a crown. Ah, I won't play again. Katie.
Oh, it's you. I'm so glad you came by. I hoped I'd have the chance to thank you properly. They told me what happened. God's bless you, sir. I owe you my life. I know it was foolish of me to run in there. But this ring is all that I have of my family.
I wasn't thinking. How are you holding up?
Oh, I'm managing. Fenway's letting me stay with her until I'm back on my feet. Everyone's been lovely, really. It was hard seeing what's left of the house. But Rayvald says he's going to see a hut raised for me soon as they get the logs.
Maybe you can help me. I'm looking for some Fenland liquor. What's so special about the ring, anyway?
Sentiment, mostly. When he first settled here, my grandfather had a ring fashioned from the first batch of ore he excavated. It was supposed to commemorate his fresh start. He passed it on to his daughter, and my mother gave it to me in turn. Funny, Rayvald was just in here asking after the same thing. Guess that stuff really is popular. Averick has some, but he says the Fenland stuff's not for sale. And he's rigged up the cellar like a battlefield trying to keep people out. Sorry. If anyone deserves a drink, it's you, sir. But I don't think I could convince him.
Come on, surely you wouldn't miss one bottle.
Oh, you don't know Haverick. He's liable to count them every night.
Katie bites her lip and shifts from foot to foot.
Listen, Haverick showed me how one of the traps worked, so I wouldn't get too close if I had to pop down for supplies. I'm pretty sure I can disable it. Just give me a little time. And please don't get caught. I don't know how I'd explain all this.
Owena! Go check on that Orland. Make sure he don't steal nothing.
Hey there. Hey there.
Oh, we know.
Excuse me, was there something you need?
She nets her fingers together and looks intently at the floor. Away.
No offense, but I already paid Haverick for this room.
Never seen such a bloodbath. Feels like we got half the town's survivors in here, just drinking to forget it.
The dwarf surveys the crowd, his expression sober despite the half-empty flagon by his hand. He shakes his head and looks to you, remembering himself.
But you must be looking for some refreshment, too, after the way you handled them ogres. Or perhaps a room. Say the word and I'll give that shifty little Orland the boot. Showed up a few days ago, sticks his nose out of the back room just long enough to empty his chamber pot.
He squints toward the hall as if daring the Orland to show himself.
Up to no good, I tell you. I'd like nothing more than to see him gone, but I don't want to ruckus over it. I'd appreciate it. And I suppose I don't need to remind you that I don't want you to hurt him. I'm sure you can find a more discreet way of handling the problem.
He gives you a meaningful look.
Sure. Not to be rude, but I'm rather busy. Can't you get another room?
Now, Orland turns and glances past you with a quick, nervous motion, his ears shredded, and his scalloped at the edges are pressed against his skull. Haverick sent me to check on you. He thinks you are up to something. I'll bring something to check on you. He dislikes Orlan, so of course he thinks you're up to something.
He... what? Oh no.
Once he's close through
No.
It tugs his long, ragged ears. Can't imagine why I'd think a thing like that.
Is she there? Did you see her?
He leans around, peering at the doorway. What are you talking about?
Vivala. That woman. The slaver, she... I was a slave in Raid Ceres. I ran away. Made it here. The mountains are usually the best place to lose slavers, but Divala's one of the best.
His hands tremble as he picks up his sword and one tunic. As long as slaves haunt his steps, there can be no freedom for his spirit.
I just want to get out of here. I've scraped together enough money to reach New Haelmar.
New Haelmar, that's hardly an improvement. He stops himself, eyes wide. I mean, it's lovely. You'll
But
love
the
it.
locals talk about a Raid Saren party, camped west of town.
He worries at a ragged shirt sleeve.
It's got to be Divala. She's been after me since the foothills. I'll pay you if you can get rid of her. I don't care how. Thank you.
All good.
But be careful. She wouldn't have come alone.
Back to warm your hands, eh? What can I do
You might
for
want
you?
to know that Rayfeld asked me to...
He did he? That shifty little crook. I'll have it put away somewhere safe. Thank you for doing the decent thing. Back to warm your hands, eh? Top quality bear pelt.
Guy.
Very well.
No. Thank you. You are very kind. Let's do dexterity to my... Yes, let's do that.
Hey there.
Okay.
Sure.
I am not stealing that booze. It's booze, I mean, the guy can live without.
Been looking everywhere for you.
Yes, everybody's looking everywhere for me. Durgan's battery. The man is sweating despite the cold. He opens his mouth to speak, but all that comes out is a loud hacking cough. He bends forward, pressing his hands on his thighs while he heaves and gasps. After a lengthy duration, he raises a finger, still panting. All Hayfrick's fault. Damn fool sent me to the other side of town looking for you. At least he stands again. He wipes his dripping brow with the back of his hand and then offers that hand to you in greeting. Shake his hand, diplomatic. Pleasure to meet you. I'm the captain of the militia around here. Nice to meet you. I wanted to catch you before you went running off into the wild. See, there's a few dangerous folk you might be on the lookout for. Plus, if you're heading out of Longwatch Falls, I thought you might could pick up a thermal pearl for me. He looks away and twists the toe of his boot into the snow. You want me to find a thermal pearl for you? That's the thing. I already found it. I just need someone else to go and get it. Saw it in the hot springs up near Longwatch Falls. Would have grabbed it myself, but that's when I looked around and saw the Legwafeth. Whatever, I can't even remember how to pronounce it. Must have been 50 of them. Spread his arms wide. I would have fought, but I started to wonder what the rest of Stalwart would do without me, so I ran, for the sake of the village, of course. What's this thermal anyway? They form in the hot springs, something to do with all the minerals in the water. Smell kind of funny, but they're full of minerals. Just have to crumble them into a pint. He grins, and you notices that his gums are bleeding. I see. Like I said, the pearls in one of the thermal pools near Longwash Falls shouldn't be hard to spot. Tell me about the Longwash Falls. It's east of Stalwart. Got some nice views of the valley, but most of folk avoid it these days. Plenty of wilder nearby, and it only takes a few inches of snow to block the pass. If you're heading out that way, I'd suggest talking to Thurisk. He might have something to help you deal with the Lakwafeth. What have I did to them? Remind me about the temples you wanted. Caught a glimpse of it in the hot springs. Okay. You said something about dangerous folk in the wilderness. We got our share of crazies out here. Most of them aren't even from the village. He laughs at his own joke. The latest groups I'd heard of were the Gleaming Society of the Sisterhood of the Slaked Skull. But Renner Guild set aside some bounty money to see that these troublemakers were taken care of. You bring me the heads of their leaders and I'll give you the payment. I want to know about the Gleaming Society. Crazy pack of radicals that wants to be toppled government and kill the wealthy makes the War of Defiance look like a food fight. Duke Ava and the Regent of Raid Ceres both declared them illegal, which is probably the only thing those two would agree on. Who leads the Sisterhood of the Slate Skull? That'll be Mesla. All of these members of the Sisterhood worship Barath by sending as many folk back to the wheel as they can. They've been poking around Drogon's battery, and Whale only knows why, but you can understand why no one around here was pleased to hear about it. Passed through town recently, didn't stay long, but they stopped at the Temple of the Ondra. You might see if Lafta knows something. If you come across them, be careful. They're unpredictable. So I've got something else. Farewell.
They've destroyed the stockade, Mother. It's...
Enough. They're gone.
She holds up a hand which is missing the final joint of a finger, but it's her voice, sharp and steely, the silence of the young man. That silences the young man. As he glows at his toes, she returns to you with the dark circles under her eyes and smile pulled toward across her thin lips.
The deliverer of Cadnua. Thank you for making the journey. Abidan knows it's a long one. Well, I'm sure you wagered on a more civilized welcome. Still, we're much obliged for your capable intervention.
She shoots the young man a brief but stern glare. He pulls a knife from the belt and an apple from his pocket and sets it to work. There's your job needs doing, that's why I'm here. It's an honor to be called here.
That's fine of you to say so, though I'm hoping your strengths lie more with arms than words. Stalwart isn't much more than a grease stain on a map. What roads we've got in the White March are basically tracks in the snow, and for every trader or adventurer that comes through, 3 of our own leave for good. But it weren't always so. There was a time when kings and queens sent their firstborn to these mountains, when the White March was the envy of empires.
How the mighty have fallen. What does that have to do
The
with
Pargrin dwarves transformed the White March once. We could bring some of that greatness back to Stalwart, but we need the White Forge.
Oh, what's the White Forge? Never heard of it.
Of course. Been over 200 years since anyone's felt so much as a summery breeze near it. I'm hoping you can do something about that.
Okay.
We've been trying to breach Durgan's battery for over a year now. Problem is, the other expeditions can't so much as dent the front door.
Tell me about these expeditions.
A dozen different groups have come through at our request, and several more besides. Been hoping that one of them could clear the way through Durgan's battery. But young or old, green or seasoned, it don't seem to matter. They cast their spells, chisel at the door, and search the grounds until they've worn new treads into the old stone. The lucky ones eventually go home. Plenty more find themselves on the wrong side of a blizzard, or an ogre raiding party.
Why is that an interest in the White Forge?
We're an old mining town. Or we were until the Adirans pulled out and left us with a half-dug mine shaft and something resembling an inn. Since then, it's been a steady decline. You've seen the roads. Isn't much we can produce that the Valians can't ship cheaper.
It is what we do.
But the White Forge,
Well, if we could fire it up again and start producing Durgan steel, or something close to it, wouldn't matter if we're in the White March or the Living Lands, business would come.
And that's why you need my help.
That's the long and short of it. We're laborers and fisherfolk, not adventurers. But Durgan steel could put Stalwart on the map again, open up the mines, bring in new business. We just need the White Forge.
Why is Durgan steel so special?
Because you can shave stone with it, cleave cast iron in two, and the stuff's as rare as it is remarkable.
Yeah, Thalesium red. Renan Guild shifts on the balls of her feet. She props one bent arm on the other, pointing distractedly toward the eaves of the house. Steel is steel. It might be a light and it may take an edge well, but per complanca, the legends grow with each passing
If we
year.
could make something even half as good, we'd have a market at our doorstep and work enough for all of Stalwart.
How is it no one's gotten into Durgan's battery yet?
Where should I start? Ogres, blizzards, or sheer damned inaccessibility?
She takes the items off her
It ain't
foot.
for lack of trying, I'll tell you that much. Got untold riches in Durgan steel lying just inside, and never mind the White Forge itself. The Adherans who first settled Stalwart tried to crack it. So did the Valians, and every other cocky adventurer with more metal than sense. But the place has a funny way of sealing itself up. Front door stays shut, the tower entrances are clogged with rubble, and it's been impossible to blast a way in.
What happened to Durgan's battery?
It don't bear dwelling on. There's too many superstitions about that place as it is.
Killed each other off, or so the old books say.
Plenty of tales to go around, but none of them open the battery. And the last thing people need is another reason to fear the place. Whatever it was, the other Pargrin dwarven settlements in the White March, Bone Picker, the Hawk, and the rest, emptied out not long after, moved to gentler, greener lands.
Maybe for good reason.
Had the right idea, if you ask me.
That's what I just said, ass. I don't see why you need the White Forge to make good steel.
Finally, someone talking sense.
Durgan steel wasn't just good. It was some of the best. We need the best if we're going to keep Stalwart alive.
Why don't you just move?
No one alive today has seen the White Forge, but the old stories tell that it was powerful, glowed white-hot, and gave off a steady, even heat, unlike any other furnace. Let better-schooled folk puzzle over how the thing was built. I just want to see it put to use.
Tell me about the Barbarian dwarves.
Pargrin's a word in their language. Means traveler. They've been wanderers for generations, but I couldn't tell you much more.
Alright, any idea of where I should begin?
The battery's up the mountain to the north. A good hike away.
Near Galvino's place, huh?
So it is. Though I was going to suggest dealing with that ogre camp before anything.
Who's Galvino?
Mestre Galvino, as the old crosspatch prefers it, lives by himself and keeps the wilder and beasts at bay through sheer foulness of his temper.
She means to say he's a skilled smith and animancer, who's lived in the shadow of Durgan's battery for over a decade.
And by animancy flimsy standard, that makes him an expert, does it? He falls.
And he butters his bread on both sides and fits his left shoe before his right. But that's neither here nor there.
You seem flustered all of a sudden. Did he do something to anger you?
Me and the rest of the town. He knows better than to linger at our gates.
What happened with
Old lunatic finally went too far. And we sent word to the Valian academies. I don't like speaking on it, but if you want to get his guff, just remind him that we gave him the boot.
Ain't nobody here fond of the man, but he's a clever hand and a quick study.
It's a fool who thinks he stayed so close to the battery without figuring something about it.
You said as much to the last party, and we haven't seen hide nor hair of them since. Maybe they didn't run afoul of Baragon's ogres after all.
Aldrich shrugs and turns back to the
Just
fire.
watch your step. Galvino's place is a ways east of the battery, and folk who pass it bring unsettling tales. Belongs to Flames That Whisper, Matron Baragon's clan. Hunters tell me they've been active of late.
Hunting elk and otherwise minding their own damn business.
Minding their own business. Never mind the latest expedition's disappearance, or the broken stockade.
I'm saying we shouldn't agitate him further.
What does this matron have to do with anything?
The brawl outside was just the latest patch of trouble. The ogre clans are getting bolder, and we'll all sleep easier knowing they aren't circling our walls. Also, Baragons like to have whatever the last expedition found. Rumor has it they disappeared near her turf.
Killing a matron will only make our problems worse. The way to approach Baragon is with your hands held high.
If anyone could parley with an ogre, I suppose it'd be you. But they aren't known for their patience with prattle. Good. Before you leave town, stop by the Grave's Rest. Most visitors to Stalwart spend some time there, so Hafric and his patrons may be able to give you the lay of the land.
Don't know about you, but I'm parched all of a sudden. Actually, I want to ask something.
What's on your mind?
What can you tell me about Farah's expedition?
Who? Sorry, I don't recall the name. Last expedition I met disappeared weeks ago. Didn't give any names, but they definitely haven't come back this way. Don't mean the Sfeara weren't part of an expedition, though. We get groups passing by sometimes looking to try their luck. What's on your mind?
I have questions about Durgan's battery and the White
The
Forge.
Pargrin dwarves guarded it like a mother bear. It's a wonder we know as much as we do. What's on your mind?
I want to know more about Stalwart.
Adir founded us back in their colonial days to supply ore to the Empire. Saw a fair bit of traffic from both sides of the White March then. But after the Deerwood claimed independence, Defiance Bay found cheaper places to get ore. Didn't have much reason to maintain our supply routes.
Isn't Stalwart part of the Deerwood?
Officially. Though with the state the roads are in, you wouldn't guess it.
Tell me of some of the more important places around town.
Here in the center? Let's see. The Grave's Rest is next door. Hafric can set you up with a room and a hot meal there. The fishery's just on the edge of the lake, and the Temple of Andra is next to it. No one keeps a secret like Lavda. Or so. A few folk live in this part of town, too. Seemed a lot safer before the ogres broke through the western gate. Thiersch lives next to the old mine shaft, and Tana, the old mine overseer, is next door to me.
What do you do?
I'm the mayor. Or so I'm reminded every time there's a game shortage, ogre attack, or a neighborly dispute. I'm a builder by trade, though. Traveled all over Air Glonfoth and the Deerwood in my younger days, but ended up back here anyway.
Let's talk about something else.
What's on your mind?
Can you tell anything about the last expedition that went to the Durgan's battery?
They didn't volunteer much, and I knew better than to ask. I've seen all types charging through here. Professional companies with shiny new equipment as brazen as you please, and hopeless runts with nothing but tattered leathers. But these folk, I don't know what they were after, and the way they looked at you made you feel cold all over. Wish I could tell you more.
What you want with my space, Theos? Perhaps we'll find more about the battery itself. Yes, he nods as yeah, at the battery itself, in the battery itself. He nods at you with a guarded look.
What's on your mind?
Farewell. Okay.
So, do you have feathers everywhere?
It's Josie.
You know, does your tiara match your tail feathers?
We're about to find out if your viscera match your fur.
Forget I said anything. I rather value my viscera.
They gone? Have those nasty brutes finally left? I heard the ogres outside, tearing down walls and murdering folk. Don't remember how things got this bad.
The elderly woman knits her hands. Her knuckles are swollen knobs, and her palms are rigid with calluses that scrape and rasp as she rubs them together.
But you're the new adventurer. Renengild's latest volunteer.
She squints at you, leaning precariously forward on her wobbling legs.
A real spitfire, she told me. Bet you'd whip those layabouts at the mine into shape.
I'd like to ask you something.
Did you say something, dear?
Tell me about
Me?
yourself.
I was the overseer at the mine, back when it was running. Got shut down decades ago when we couldn't sell or ship the stuff. But I still remember plenty about the mining business. And I got as many folk as I can digging out the entrance.
She taps her head, a spotted dome under a thinning thatch of
Been
hair.
praying to the salty wench that I don't forget too much afore they finish the job.
She winks. That's all.
Got to speak up? My hearing ain't what it was.
Leave. Useless. Okay, one of the quests had me. I need to go back to the hunting guy. He's all the way here.
Tax, you learn an appreciation for details.
This sounds like wizard talk, so I'll just take your word for it.
Watch yourself on the mountain.
Okay. So, what side will we be going? Voiced. What? Just Longworth Falls. I think let's go to the Russet Wood. Let's go west first. Anyway, I know this was an uneventful episode, but that's going to be all for today. We have gotten every quest we can that I know of from Stalwart Village, and in the next episode we will actually start exploring the White Marsh. Thank you guys for tuning in, and have a fantastic day.